In a wooded area, Drasa wakes up while she hears an aircraft arrive. She gets her weapon geared up, and as quickly as a person gets off the aircraft, he receives shot inside the head. In the meantime, former Marine Levi wakes up from a nightmare and decides to clear his head by means of resting on the seashore. Within the morning, he receives a textual content telling him to go to the Marine Corps base.
Colonel, give us the room, please.
Later at the bottom, Levi meets Agent Bartholomew. She knows he has a notable career as an elite sniper and no own family or buddies, so she's right here to offer him a job.
You're an extremely rare talent, Levi.
In Lithuania, Drasa meets along with her father at the cemetery for anniversary of her mother's dying.
Hey, Daddy.
Her dad these days discovered that it's too past due to deal with his most cancers, so he broadcasts that if he isn't always lifeless via February 14th, he'll self-delete so he can eventually reunite together with his spouse on Valentine's Day.
Come on now, little lion. Let's have our beer and say a proper goodbye.
In September, Levi wakes up in an aircraft from an anesthesia-prompted sleep. He asks a soldier in which they're, but she is not legal to say. She takes all his personal items and tells him they're reaching a no-fly zone. He should leap now and stroll the rest of the way to his destination. Levi grabs the assigned bag and jumps. He lands appropriately and starts off-evolved his lengthy journey, which entails masses of mountaineering, hiking, and tenting. Finally, Levi reaches the threshold of a massive gorge. Right here, he meets soldier JD.
Just call me JD.
Levi Kane, former U.S. Marine scout sniper.
So what did I tell you about this mission?
Not a damn thing.
Who has been right here for 12 months and would not know, in which they're both. The men go to the West Tower that is completely self-sufficient with sun power, a backup generator, a rain gadget, a vegetable lawn, and masses of wild recreation to hunt. On the opposite facet of the gorge, there is the East Tower. However, contact with that defend is forbidden. The gorge has landmines and tactical obstacles at the north and south. However, there's no manner to head across. As JD maintains to expose Levi around, he explains the undertaking. Every day, Levi needs to stroll the western rim and restock the ammo within the automatic gun turrets, which can be located every 600 meters. He should also check the containment fence, suspended mines, and cloakers, which might be devices that send fake signals to all satellites to preserve the gorge invisible. The radio tests in every 30 days, but there's no way to speak with the out of doors. In case of an emergency, there's a panic button with a purpose to activate the stray dog protocol, but JD doesn't recognize what that involves and advises Levi to run if it ever happens. JD explains that this region is as antique as the Bloodless War, and again then, military groups from distinctive nations made a percent to preserve the location mystery. So not even heads of nation and presidents recognize approximately it. Levi's project is definitely to keep things inside the gorge from coming out. It sounds crazy, and JD used to suppose so too, till he saw something that the guards have named Hollow Men, which could now be heard screeching inside the gorge. JD says that within the past due 1940s, 3 horseback battalions were dispatched into the gorge to easy it out, but nobody again. So the Navy is targeting doing containment as a substitute.
What the hell is that?
Nobody knows exactly what they are.
Take care of yourself.
Good luck, man.
Later on, JD leaves the tower and hikes all the way to the pickup point. A helicopter selections him up with a rope, and a soldier asks for his identification. As soon as JD says the password, the soldier shoots him within the head and drops his frame in the mountains. A month later, Levi has gotten used to his very dull habitual. He walks the perimeter, does all the maintenance on the security structures, and does his check inside the voice on the other side most effective desires to know if everything is great, and hangs up before Levi can ask any questions.
Alpha, Bravo, 9-7 Omega.
30 days until next radio check.
Even as working on the garden, Levi notices a few motion on the opposite tower. He rushes to his binoculars and sees Drasa cutting timber. She sees him too, however ignores him. One night, throughout a typhoon, Levi is startled awake by means of a nightmare and breaks a tumbler, which makes him think he's being attacked, so he grabs a gun. While he feels pain in his foot, he realizes he stepped on the glass and it became only a twist of fate, so he calms down. Whilst cleaning his foot, he notices that Drasa continues to be wakeful and watching him. However, she is going to bed when she notices him looking her returned. Every other month passes, and Drasa has to have fun her birthday by myself. Uninterested in the boredom, she shoots a gun to get Levi's interest and holds up a sign requesting his call. Levi writes lower back that they aren't meant to talk, so Drasa responds together with her call and pronouncing she'll do anything she wishes on her birthday. An amused Levi replies together with his name too and increases a pitcher with the intention to make a toast. Subsequent Drasa performs song virtually loudly, and while she dances, he asks Levi to bop along. He explains he is a horrible dancer, however, and great sniper. So Drasa responds through shooting his water bottle. Levi quickly grabs his gun and shoots her bottle too. Then Drasa puts every other bottle on her head, intending to maintain the game. However, she stops the whole lot whilst she notices something shifting within the gorge. While Levi appears down, he discovers strange creatures that appear like people manufactured from bushes, climbing up his facet of the gorge wall. He immediately shoots the sort of monsters and causes it to fall onto a mine, which blows up and brings maximum of the climbers down. There nevertheless are some creatures mountaineering, so Levi keeps taking pictures, and Drasa allows him the use of her device gun. Via working collectively, they bring about down all the creatures in a B counted of mins. When they suppose it's over, a creature reaches Drasa's balcony, so she shoots it together with her gun some instances before kicking it off. Then the monsters start climbing the wall on her aspect, and both squaddies must paintings collectively once more to stop them. Inside the morning, Drasa takes care of her wounds and tells Levi it was her quality birthday ever. Then he goes right down to fix all of the harm and replace the mines. Suddenly, a drone flies out of the gorge and flies off. In December, Levi puts up a bunch of lighting fixtures around a tree in the woodland to simulate a Christmas tree. He additionally places up a signal for Drasa. From then on, they begin sharing lots of activities collectively, like making snowmen with each other's names, gambling chess, and playing drums made from pots. On February 14th, Levi sees Drasa crying in the front of a circle of relatives photo. He asks why she didn't move on patrol earlier, and she or he tells him she's been having a difficult day, so she wishes he will be there along with her. Using all the gear from the armory, Levi builds a special contraption and shoots a rocket throughout the gorge, which gets stuck on a tree.
What are you doing?
It additionally starts off evolved a fireplace, but Drasa runs to put it off and notices there is a rope attached to the rocket. She ties the rope firmly to the tree earlier, then going for walks lower back to the tower, in which she sees Levi asking her to dinner. Then Levi slides down the rope to go the gorge, best to get caught midway. Luckily, he's wearing gloves, so he makes use of his fingers to grab the rope and hold on shifting. Soon he makes it to Drasa's tower and gives her Flora.
I brought you flowers.
Thank you.
She factors out he stinks due to all of the workout he simply did, so Levi agrees to take a shower.
You're staring.
Sorry.
Why don't you go wash up quick at the bathhouse?
Whilst he is washing, Drasa takes his uniform and leaves a few pleasant clothes from a preceding occupant. At some point of dinner, they talk their experiences as mercenaries and what this kind of process does to their minds.
After that,
Yes, after that. Sorry, please tell me. What have you been thinking about?
Then they percentage a dance and end up doing the grimy. Within the morning, Levi begins sliding at the rope to return to his tower. At that second, the hollow men seam on his wall and hit a mine, inflicting a large explosion that cuts the rope. Levi starts falling and at once opens his parachute at the same time as Drasa rushes to her armory to seize a group of weapons and a parachute of her personal. She jumps into the gorge, and after a few miles of falling, she lands right into a river. On the surface, her parachute gets caught on a rock, so Drasa has to cut it off. The modern day right now starts off evolved, pushing her, and her frame hits a rock, inflicting her to by chance drop the automobile ascender. The river remains pushing Drasa, so she grabs onto a few tree roots to reach land. Meanwhile, Levi is unconscious and placing off a tree. A branch starts off evolved, moving, revealing it's a monster. While it receives near Levi, he wakes up and begins shooting at it at the same time as untangling the ropes from the tree. He falls to the floor and lands on what appears to be mud. However, the adhesive substance begins shifting as it's simply the mouth of any other monster. The substance traps Levi because the mouth slowly begins to shut. Thankfully, Drasa heard the gunshots and arrives to open hearth on the creature, rescuing Levi just in time. After Drasa gets the substance off Levi's body with a knife, the duo begins making their way to the wall to locate the rope. Abruptly, they hear screeching before two whole men seem on horses that also appear to be trees. The riders maintain attacking Levi and Drasa with swords, and one of them even jumps off the horse to jump on Drasa. She stabs it inside the neck with a knife to make him fall, after which shoots it inside the face. The opposite rider takes Levi's gun, the usage of a whip, so he is taking out his gun to shoot each the pony and the rider, killing them in seconds. Afterward, Drasa assessments her bag and discovers the auto-ascender fell inside the river. Since the walls are too excessive for them to climb, they are stuck there. She thinks they have to comply with the river because it has to drain out somewhere. Levi takes a more in-depth look at the creature he killed and discovers a totally vintage army uniform. This indicates whole men are the lost horseback battalions from the tale. The duo keeps moving through the woodland, finding masses of skeletons on the way. Ultimately, they discover a deserted city where all the homes are protected with the aid of mutated plant life. There may be additionally damage on the ground from an earthquake. They could listen screeching, indicating greater monsters are coming, so the duo makes a decision to cover internal a church, wherein they discover skeletons at the seats. Levi can smell cyanide, which means that those humans self-deleted because they could not stand dwelling in this region anymore. All at once, they pay attention a noise, and Drasa appears as much as find a big spider that jumps to attack her. She immediately pushes it off and falls to the ground, in which she sees some other spider coming. As she stabs it, extra spiders assault Levi, who fast shoots them. Quickly, lots of spiders surround them, and each infantryman hold on firing to kill as many as possible. Drasa runs out of bullets, so Levi rescues her even as she reloads. They begin heading closer to the door. However, at that moment, a few hollow guys burst in. Now the soldiers must divide their attention between shooting the spiders and the whole men. Drasa starts off-evolved pounding a creature's head on a desk and throws it off, so the spiders begin mountaineering on it too. Levi also has to fight a few creatures up close, and after a few war, he manages to shoot them down. Then Drasa shoots a grenade on the returned wall to make a big hollow that permits them to break out. Levi and Drasa run through the wooded area, however they are able to still pay attention creatures screeching within the distance. For the reason that they may be too exposed here, they determine to head closer to the wall. They find an old door and get interior to find out a facility that changed into overtaken by the flowers too. Deeper inner, they examine this was once a military lab. There are skeletons and a generator that Drasa activates. Levi unearths a tape in order that they play it at the projector. Inside the movie, a scientist explains that it is 1946 and that this community turned into fashion as part of a top-secret coalition of countries. During the last years of Global War II, they worked on growing biochemical missiles. But 6 days earlier than the recording of this film, An earthquake hit the location and brought about a chemical leak. The scientists started out to paintings around the clock to incorporate the toxin, which quickly merged with the DNA of the local flora and fauna and mutated them. Being exposed to the toxin for only some hours would not do something. However, the more they worked, the more exposed the scientists had been, and it became slowly affecting them too, as demonstrated by means of the female on the display showing the branches on her stomach. Happily, for the reason that base turned into within the gorge, the toxin by no means reached the rest of humanity. In every other room, Levi and Drasa discover a laptop from the late 2000s. Because of this, that after the preliminary incident, people kept coming to continue the experiment. Levi activates the computer and discovers this region belongs to Darklake, a personal paramilitary organization. The drone they saw the other day was accumulating samples for Darklake's experiments, which can be seeked to create exquisite soldiers. The towers and the employed guards help them maintain the name of the game. Inside the PC, Levi additionally finds a cause of the stray canine protocol, which turns out to be a nuclear bomb that will sterilize the place if a leak takes place. As the duo makes their manner out, Levi tells Drasa that coming to this task became worth it because he were given to satisfy her. They open the door and throw a smoke grenade earlier than coming out. Unexpectedly, the Hollow Man's whip grabs her ankle and drags her away. As the rider takes her through the forest, Drasa tries slicing the whip together with her knife. However, she, by accident, crashes towards a tree and drops it. She also tries taking pictures. However, she cannot aim efficiently whilst she keeps getting hit by rocks and logs. Levi follows the rider's tracks and finally ends up finding the power with the nuclear bomb. Interior, the Hollow Man has hung Drasa and turns the department stuck in her stomach to torture her earlier than taking it out. Drasa kicks him in the chest and untangles the ropes from the beam to free herself. Then she pushes the Hollow Guy and grabs a chunk of metallic as a weapon. The Hollow Man continues on overpowering her, and the snake in his chest tries to attack too, but Drasa by no means offers up and manages to decapitate the snake before throwing the metallic at the Whole Man. It does not purpose tons damage, but it angers the Whole Man, who starts off evolved, chasing her around the room as he assaults her along with his sword. Drasa uses bones as a defend and makes a torch from the bonfire, which allows her to burn her enemy. As the Whole Man yells in ache, Levi sooner or later arrives and shoots him to dying. After the squaddies reunite with a hug, Levi assessments the Hollow Man and notices the call inside the uniform, recognizing it because the first defend that labored in his tower. Once you have the creature's sword, the duo starts off evolved, making their way out and finds the location where the preliminary leak occurred. There are mutated creatures everywhere caught inside the goo created by using the toxin. Levi and Drasa begin crossing the bridge while being creeped out by using the faces breathing within the goo. Drasa accidentally steps on a root, and when she pulls on the sticky substance, the bodies begin falling to attempt to seize her. Levi uses the sword to speedy reduce all the roots and rescue her. Soon, larger creatures are waking up and roaring at them. As Levi continues to open the way with the sword, a goo whip grabs his ankle and makes him fall. Drasa shoots a grenade at the back of them and causes a massive explosion. The creatures trap on Hearth, and the flames spread through the whole goo structure while the duo reaches the stairs to finally get out. In a while, they seek the city and find Navy jeeps in a storage. They do some maintenance on an engine and take off in one of the jeeps, using for hours until they locate the damaged rope. Levi straight away ties the rope to the jeep at the same time as Drasa shoots at the Whole Men who attempt to technique them. When she runs out of bullets, they simply trade locations. Once the jeep is ready, they begin ascending the wall. It is going properly for a while. However, sooner or later they find out the Whole Guys are mountaineering to observe them. They kick one off, and Levi starts off-evolved using the sword to kill the others. Drasa unearths an axe in the toolbox and uses it to kill creatures too. While Levi pushes a monster in opposition to the wheels, Drasa has to hit one that lands at the front window to make it fall. Then a Whole Guy jumps to push Levi, who manages to seize onto the Jeep at the final 2D, but is left pudding. He stabs the Jeep's gas tank earlier than mountain climbing again. Then he lighting fixtures a flare and throws it on the creatures. Whilst it combines with the dripping propane, it causes a huge explosion that burns all their enemies but additionally makes the Jeep explode. Levi breaks his leg whilst he hits the wall, and Drasa has to help him up. In view that they're in the direction of the pinnacle now, they determine to reduce the rope and permit the Jeep fall on pinnacle of the remaining hollow men. Later on, the duo climbs the relaxation of the manor and returns to Drasa's tower. While taking care of their injuries, they comply with live apart for 5 days as quarantine in case they're infected. In addition, they want to run away together, in order that they make a plan to damage the Gorge. They share a kiss, and Levi tells Drasa that he loves her earlier than using a grappling gun that lets in him to jump return to his very own tower. The next day, they have to do the radio test in. In place of the same old worker, Levi's name is picked up by Bartholomew due to the fact she's discovered that the laptop inside the lab became turned on. Considering the fact that Levi denies going into the Gorge, Bartholomew concludes that the character within the other tower did, so Levi's new project is to kill them. Levi pretends to simply accept the challenge before the decision ends. Then it is discovered that the lab computer had a camera, and Bartholomew knows each soldiers had been down there, so she calls a commander to reserve him to get a team ready to visit the Gorge. The following morning, while the infantrymen are becoming a few minds prepared for his or her plan, Drasa writes, "I love you" returned for Levi. At that second, they see a helicopter coming, so that they right away start jogging through the woodland. When the infantrymen find the towers empty, they ship out drones and a chase starts off evolved. The drones quickly open fireplace, so Levi and Drasa shoot lower back, bringing them all down one at a time, even as getting some injuries in the procedure. After they attain a niche high enough, they get into their sniper positions and shoot the cloakers. Way to the mines they set up in advance. They invent a series response that starts off-evolved, destroying all of the cloakers inside the region. Because the Gorge is now uncovered, the stray dog protocol activates. Bartholomew and her crew rush to the helicopter to fly away, even as Levi and Drasa run as speedy as they are able to. The nuclear bomb goes off, and the substantial explosion brings down the helicopter, making it crash and killing each person inside. Lamentably, Levi is pushed by the explosion too, and he falls off the edge of a cliff right into a river. Drasa manages to escape and hides in a cave to await Levi. After a month of no news from her boyfriend, Drasa makes a decision to leave by myself. Sometime later in France, Drasa is operating as a waitress. Someday, she's shocked to locate Levi sitting at a desk. He explains it took him a while to recover from his accidents earlier than they reunite with a kiss,